It is time for another professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I got for you today is a Zerg vs Terran played on Belshir Vestige. Spawning in the northwest location, playing with the blue Terran pieces, he goes by the nickname of Bunny. And in a cross position, playing in red and playing with Zerg, one of my personal favorites, he goes by the nickname of Solar. Now, Solar, definitely a household name. When it comes to the current statistics, this guy is the rank 2 Zerg in the world right now. He's got a roughly a 62% win rate against Terran, and his total earnings in tournament prize money alone is just over 200,000 American dollars. Solar, over the last couple of years, has been on an absolute tear, and while in the last few weeks he may have had some struggles here and there, it's definitely safe to say that this guy is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Now, Bunny, not to be confused with Team Liquid's Bunny, he's also a Korean pro gamer, and he's one of the players that in particular over the last couple of months have become he's become really powerful. Basically, as you may be aware, at the end of 2016 we had some issues over in Korea where a lot of the professional gaming teams decided to get rid of their StarCraft 2 divisions, and Bunny was one of the players that was previously on CJ Antis, one of the top level premier teams back in the day. However, ever since he was switched out, and I guess he switched over to Dust Gaming, you can see that little icon right there, I guess he's just sort of been benefiting from that little bit of freedom a lot more, because this guy has been extremely impressive over the last few months. He's been, he's been performing very well, and while his current earnings are just over $12,000, he's already either the 5th or the 6th best Terran player right now, statistically speaking. Depends on what statistics you look at, but regardless, there are a lot of great Terran players in StarCraft 2, but this guy is very good, and I wouldn't be surprised if sometime later this year he ends up picking up a major tournament victory. He's an absolute blast to watch. Definitely a bio-based player in Terran vs Zerg, which means that he will more than likely be focusing on Marines and Widow Mines and maybe some siege tanks and, all kinds of other shenanigans here in the earlier stages and the mid stages of this game. Regardless, we do see a quick expansion here on the low ground for Bunny. He's going to be opening up with a Marine here as well, so he has decided that he's just simply going to be able to start scouting here in the earlier part of the game with an SCV, and instead he's spending some additional resources here on getting the Marines out early, so he will be able to snipe this Overlord right from the get-go, and this is actually a pretty big deal. Solo will have a hard time right now scouting out exactly what is going on the other end of the map, and he will not be able to see that there is indeed a reactor down as well as a factory. Of course, Zergling speed is on the way, so maybe he will be able to get a scout with that. Solar did pull the drones out of the gas, or at the very least left only one in there after starting up the metabolic boost research. However, he's still more than likely going to be capable of poking up the ramp if he so decides to choose. But of course, there are going to be Marines to greet him, and I guess he may just be very well aware of what Bunny is playing at, right? Like, basically, a lot of the pro level players, like a lot of these top level contenders, they will face off against each other quite regularly, so they will have a good understanding of what either of them is going to be capable of. Now, very shortly, you will be able to figure out as well that there are going to be some Hellions on the map, and we will need to see a response for that. Third base is already going down for Solar. He's also following this up with more and more workers, so of course he will need to be careful that he's not over-droning at this point in the game, but for the time being, since he's already putting out a creep tumor here as well, it seems like he's gonna be just fine as long as he creates a handful of Zerglings before these Hellions really start ramping up and before they really will be capable of dealing a lot of damage. Bunny also followed it up with a starport. He's going to be capable of dropping with Marines here very shortly as well, and potentially could even go for a Hellion drop in the main base. We'll keep an eye out on that, see exactly what is going on, and he's now also adding on an armory here. Very interesting. Generally speaking, you would expect he may actually be playing mech in this particular match, although this setup doesn't really aim at that. Regardless, generally speaking, you would expect engineering base to go down right now, so he could really start upgrading these bio units. But for now, apparently, he's feeling a little more confident, and we may very well see some interesting tech switches here in just a little bit. We'll try and keep an eye out on that, and that's what I love about Bunny. He definitely does not mind playing his own strategy. Nice Zergling run by right there. Look at that. That was absolutely beautiful. He will be able to figure out exactly what's going on. And while apparently, I was gonna say the depots. Whoa! Alright, apparently he's welcomed into the main base, but apparently, while indeed Bunny did notice that Zergling is still going to be able to do quite a little bit. Now, of course, the Hellions can also be morphed into Hellbats, and those Roaches that are just about to come out will be absolutely crucial. Bunny will be able to do quite a bit of damage here. He's going after the mineral line right now as well, doing whatever damage he can, but so far, nice pick up micro right there. So far, though, the defense has been absolutely spot on here by Solar, just simply defending against this with barely any losses thus far. While maybe he will lose a couple of Zerglings here, the main source of damage that Bunny was looking for at this point in the game is most definitely drones. If he's not getting any drone kills, that means that he's going to be in a great position. Drones going in a bit of a weird angle right there. A couple of them do end up falling, 6 in total there. And while the defenses were absolutely spot on here initially, I'm a little worried here that might have been a bit more than Solar was looking for. Now, of course, Zerglings are going to be able to run by right at this point in time as well. They're going to be able to do whatever damage they can. Couple of these SCVs do get badly bruised, but none of them actually end up falling here for the time being. So it does look, by the way, like that armory was solely meant right there to grab himself some additional Hellbats there as well. And apparently they did end up paying for themselves. So though initially I was a little worried that wasn't going to be the case, because Solar's defense looked absolutely spot on with that Roach Warren timing and everything. Now Bunny indeed does end up losing 3 SCVs there as well. And it looks like we have set ourselves up here for a very nice macro game. Spire going down here. Lair, of course, already finished up. We don't see any evolution chambers just yet, and no upgrades here for really all the, like, there we go. We finally do see the double evo chamber go down, but really not any proper upgrading here for either of these players just yet. Yeah, I thought for a second he was researching the +1 attack upgrade there as well. Apparently we had a bit of a pause here as well. Regardless, Bunny is starting to ramp up his production and is going to be capable of getting those upgrades out in just about a minute or so from now, which will open him up for quite a nice timing attack. However, by then, of course, the Mutalisks will be ready to start flying across the map as well, and they're going to be very great. Now, this is interesting right here. I love seeing this kind of stuff. This is something that really only Solar seems to do. At the very least when it comes to like the top level Zerg players. So he's focusing on both the Spire as well as Roach upgrades. That's not something you generally speaking see a whole lot of, okay? So generally speaking, people will be focusing on either Roach Ravagers with maybe infestive support or, you know, this Mutaling Bane style. However, the 4th base looks like it will get, wow, not even cancelled. It will get killed there, which is a bit of a loss. Nice pickup there by Bunny. A little sloppy, I guess, by Solar. Regardless, though, he's going to be able to go for the Mutas, and he may very well... No, okay, I was going to say, he may very well be building some Corruptor here as well, but we do immediately see 8 Mutas there on the production tab. They're going to be very useful at picking up these dropships. But here's the thing, right? He has played Bunny plenty of times in the past as well, and he may know very well that as soon as Bunny sees these Roaches, that he's going to opt for a full-on dropped-based strategy, which is what a lot of Terran players will indeed do. He may not expect that there are going to be Mutalisks out on the map, and there are indeed no missile turrets here ready to defend against this aggression just yet, and a lot of SCVs could potentially go down. I love little mind games like this, right? Technically speaking, on paper, the Muta switch right now doesn't make a lot of sense, just simply because they're not going to be able to do very well with the Roach Ravager style, but at the same time, he knows that his opponent will more than likely be not expecting the Muta switch either, so therefore he may have gotten a little greedy and indeed did not make any defenses, and now the Mutas have arrived in the mineral line of the main base of the Terran. A lot of SCVs already end up falling here. If you could pick up a few Medivacs with this as well, that could be absolutely enormous. At the same time, the Roaches are forced to defend against apparently a Medivac here as well that had a single unit left in it. He probably ended up picking off the rest of that. But regardless, 9 SCVs already is plenty of work for all of these units. If you could get like an additional Medivac, that would be nice. Now, the Mutas are caught in a bit of a weird location, and that is some really nice control there by Bunny, splitting up the Marines that he had in his natural to move towards this 4th base location. But still, a lot of SCVs do end up falling there, and that alone already makes that Spire worthwhile. And he's actually continuing onwards with it right now as well. He's getting the Flyer attack upgrade. He's getting the Roly-Poly upgrade right there for the Banelings, so they will be able to connect a little bit easier. And I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if Solar goes for the melee upgrades here next. So he is planning to switch out of this Roach Ravager kind of style into Zerglings and Banelings instead. And I love this, like, tier-based play, I suppose, what we can call it, right? He goes for the Zerglings initially, adds on a few Roaches, then goes for the Mutas while adding on more Roaches and Ravagers, and eventually he switches out of it after getting the +1 missile upgrade for his ranged army here as well. Of course, at this point, right, this is difficult to read here for the Terran player, because what are you gonna expect? Do you really want to start making Marauders right here, which is exactly what he's doing, but ideally you don't really make those at this point in the game if you know that you're going up against Mutaling Bane. But of course, at this point, reading this strategy from the Terran's point of view is very, very tricky. Regardless, there are a couple of siege tanks out right now, and there are quite a few units here as well, and there's still a very solid amount of supply here for Bunny. He will have a long road ahead of him, however, because there, look at the amount of creep right here, right? He will have to get rid of this creep highway if he plans on doing a lot of damage. Then the Muta's going for the run by. A couple of these siege tanks actually called in a bit of a weird angle, and they will get picked off here very, very easily. Look at that. So much damage being dealt, and while the Terran army is indeed moving back, 3 of those siege tanks is a huge deal. That's absolutely enormous. A few more are indeed in production right now as well, but the hive is already underway. Solar feeling confident here, even going for a macro hedge right now, as well as an expansion here on the right-hand side of the map. Apparently, he's feeling strong enough to start fighting this army here as well, and with the siege tanks not quite sieged up, all of a sudden this army is looking absolutely menacing. He is moving off creep, however, and indeed, Bunny is going to be able to force him back. Belshir Vestige, a bit of a difficult match, or map rather, to fight this Terran army on, because there's going to be so many locations that the Terran Bioforce can be threatening in, and indeed, this army is a bit tricky to fight. 62 Zerglings, however, on the production tab. The Mutas have now also returned home, but this base looks like it may very well be evacuated. Of course, it's difficult to say exactly how many Zerg units there are going to be able to defend against all of these Terran units, and with all of these links reinforcing right now, though, I'm starting to wonder if Solar even wants to move in, but it looks like he has decided that he wants to do exactly that. A lot of these Marines, a lot of these siege tanks, a lot of these bio units will end up falling. But here's the thing, he's still holding on, and the Medivacs are staying alive. The Medivacs are the one unit that you really want to try and keep up as a Terran player, and Bunny is doing that absolutely brilliantly. Supply count-wise, he's definitely looking at a bit of a deficit, and I think he's going to have to retreat for now. But still, this army is looking really, really scary, because as soon as the Medivacs pick up some additional energy once again, he's going to be able to continue this harassment just fine. And more importantly, he's far ahead of his opponent of upgrades, already getting that +3 attack. Very shortly, we'll probably also be picking up the 3 armor here as well, which is super nice. But Solar is now at the hive tech. He may very well be able to start switching into either Brute Lords or Ultralisks here very shortly. We'll keep an eye out on that tech switch here as well. Once again, though, beautiful setup here by Solar, trying his very best to surround all of these Terran units, and once again, it looks like he's going to be capable of doing so. The Muta's trying to go after the Medivacs here as well. There are going to be enough, you know, Marines here for the time being, at least, to get rid of this. But apparently, this double dropship that I missed for just a split second has managed to pick up that low HP hatchery, which was reduced to a whole lot less earlier during the aggression, and indeed he does get that pickup. At the same time, the Terran Bio army immediately moving across the map, knowing that the Zerg opponent is going to be distracted. Nice timing right there by Bunny, trying to make sure that he gets the maximum amount of surface area, but still, there is just simply so much Zerg. There's no 4th base location just yet here for Bunny, and Solar has been actively denying all of the forces just yet. Sure, he may have lost his base, but the thing is, he already moved all of the workers over to this newly acquired expansion here on the right-hand side of the map. Ultra Cavern now also in production. We also do see the adrenal glands research here for the Zerglings, which is absolutely incredible. +3 armor going down here, and Solar is getting all of the researches right now, even going for that chitinous plating research right away here in the Ultra Cavern, and apparently he is feeling confident. Generally speaking, if you go for a lot of these upgrades, of course you're spending a lot of resources into something that won't really be all too helpful until a couple of minutes later, and I wouldn't be surprised if Solar decides to play this defensive here until all of these upgrades finish up. However, as soon as they do, he's going to be able to do a ton more damage, because he will be ahead on those upgrades from his opponent. Look at that research, right? It's absolutely incredible. Regardless, though, this is starting to be a little bit tricky. Indeed, that main command center, now that the main is mined out, right, the main command center is floating over to that 4th base location. But I think really what's been keeping Solar so nicely in his match so far is just simply his creep spread. I mean, he's spreading creep all over the map, and every single time the Terran player player is trying to get rid of it. Ooh, he's got to be careful there. But every single time the Terran player is trying to get rid of the creep spread, he's immediately replacing it as well. And look at this. He's sitting back, knowing very well that once these upgrades finish, he's going to be in a superb position to start doing a lot of damage. Now, the scan in the main base will confirm here for the Terran player in blue exactly what he was probably already worrying about. And very shortly, there will be a ton more Zerg marching across the map. Fort base location has been secured for the time being. The mutas will be able to get in there, however, right before that missile turret can finish up. And a couple of these SCVs will indeed be picked off as well. But here's the thing. These mutas are mostly just meant to slow down the opponent, because Ultralisks are maximum upgrade right now, or at the very least, very near to getting their maximum upgrades. They do already have the chitinous plating research, which gives them additional armor. And I think that very shortly Solar is looking to start taking an expansion here. He's got a very nice setup here, knowing exactly what is going on. These SCVs forced to be idle here for a little while longer, while also threatening with the mutas here on the other end of the map. And this is, I think, the army that, you know, will shortly be crushing into all of these Terran units. 2 Medivacs have been loaded up, with these mutas caught in a bit of a weird angle. They will be going after the missile turret. Looks like there are not going to be enough mutas here for the time being. Zerglings and Roaches now also trying to threaten here on the left-hand side of the map, while also a drop is going on in the main base of the Zerg player. Apparently, though, Zerg has got enough of it. He's going to be able to move onwards here, at least for the time being. But with these siege tanks on the high ground, apparently he will be retreating here for the now as well. Spawning pool immediately does get picked off. A new one will be created once again as well. This will shut down the Zergling production for quite a little while, as the spawning pool takes a while to build. However, this harassment damage is not quite done just yet. A single Ultralisk going for the defenses, but at the same time, Terran is also trying to push onwards here. Beautiful move there. We'll be able to pick up the expansion here, and slowly, all of a sudden, this game is starting to look back in favor of Bunny. Even though the upgrades were finished up, and it should be the moment where Solar should be able to crush this Terran opponent, all of a sudden, with some beautiful drop play and some great decision making there, Terran is looking alright. But still, the upgrades are in favor here of Zerg, and that is something that cannot be thought about lightly, okay? Like, if you look at the upgrades right now, +3 armor has, I think, been forgotten here for the Terran player in blue, and that's gonna be a bit of an issue as soon as all of these Zerg units start clashing in with the rest of the Terran army. Still, these Roaches, though, he hasn't been producing Roaches for a very long amount of time, and it looks like Solar may very well be looking to trade out against some other units here as well, so he can replace all of these Roaches with higher tier units instead, because they are definitely very, very supply heavy. But at the same time, while the mutas are in the main base and while the Roaches are distracting a part of the Zerg or of the Terran army, a lot of these units are once more advancing. More and more Ultralisks starting to join this fight. We do see more and more Zerglings in production now as well, and Banelings are also being produced. And once more, right, these mutas are just a pain in the ass. He's been flying with these all the time, and now that Terran, however, is engaging on creep, I think this is the engagement that Solar has been waiting for. He's starting to roll forward, landing his corrosive biles right there, right on top of all of those siege tanks, and the Ultralisk are going to town. So many of these Marines end up falling, and eventually, even though Bunny made some valiant efforts right there, he is going to be forced to GG out of this game with some beautiful play right there by Solar. I hope you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.